Hey, happy Samhain. No, we're a couple days early, but today we're doing the Samhain live. I'm just gonna give it a couple minutes for people to hop on. But welcome back to anybody watching on the replay or catching on YouTube. You can feel free to comment throughout the live. If it's happening live, I will read your comments, and then also if it's on YouTube, you can comment on there. I'm just continuing the Sabbat series going throughout the year, throughout 2025. Last month was Mabon, and of course this month is Samhain. I'm just going to give it, let's see. Sometimes it doesn't let people know, so we might just go ahead. So we're just going to go ahead and go through it. The Sabbath basics, so the background, what, when, why, those kind of things. What is Samhain? Sorry, I got really distracted by the top of the screen lag. So what is Samhain? It's an ancient Celtic pagan festival that marks the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the winter. If I'm looking this way, it's because my notes. When is the Sabbath? It's October 31st, or in the Southern Hemisphere, it is April 30th. Why is this a holiday? It is celebrating the transitional period, marking the end of the summer and like the end of the harvest, leading into the darker, cooler parts of the year. Also, it's a time of the year where the veil is thinning, and so that means the boundary or the veil between the living and the dead is thin, so it allows that increased interaction between us and the spirit world. Well, I see somebody has hopped in now, but I still don't know if comments are working. Going into some of the history. Where did the name Samhain come from? The word is composed of two old Irish words, S-A-M, Sam, meaning summer, and F-U-I-N, Fun, meaning end, so the end of summer, Samhain. Hey Christy, no, you're not really late. I started at 6:02. I just got started, because I have some things to do after this, so I wanted to go ahead and jump right in, but we are not very far in. So, Samhain originated with the ancient Celts in Europe, including Ireland, Wales, Scotland, over 2,000 years ago. The ancient Celts festival was celebrated on October 31st to November 1st, and was held to mark the end of the harvest, the Celtic New Year, and the transition to winter, like I said. So it's also called like the Witch's New Year. During this liminal time, the Celts believed that the veil, like I said, was thin. And to protect themselves because of this, they would light large bonfires, wear animal costumes, and leave food out for the dead to appease them. And the reason they wore the costumes was to avoid being recognized by the spirits, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. They would also offer animal sacrifices, usually cattle, made to the gods back like 2,000 years ago. When we go into the lore, I am not going to go too deep, because I've already done a live on that, which I do reference later on. Sorry, my notes froze. Okay, so the lore, the thinning of the veil, talking about the connections to ancestors and paying respects for spirits. This is like a time to do that. The liminal period, which is the period during like the in-between of the seasons, where the normal rules of the physical world are like suspended, and it allows for supernatural events and the crossing over to be happening, which is also done during Beltane. Going from the colder to the warmer. So, like I was talking about, the Celts believed that with the thinning of the veil, so the spirits could walk along among the living. So that's why they wore the costumes, so that way you would blend in and you wouldn't know like who is who. It was like a way to protect yourself. And they would also honor with these large feasts, not just necessarily leaving food out, like that would be like just me leaving out a plate of food. That was done, but they also have these large suppers where everybody would get together, have a feast, and then they would leave spaces for ancestors. Hey, Crystal, thank you. Hey to you as well. Where was I? It was like I said, it was a time for paying respects and communicating to ancestors. So it was also a time for divination. Thank you. Huge bonfires were lit on hilltops to celebrate the end of the harvest, and performing divination were done there also to forecast the upcoming year, especially concerning marriages and death. Hearth fires were allowed to die out and then relit from the community bonfire, symbolizing the cyclical nature of life and the passing of seasons. Turnips and other root vegetables were carved with faces to create lanterns, used to guide friendly spirits or ward off evil ones, which later turned into pumpkins. I have a very in-depth live on the lore and myths of Samhain, going over like the Slav, the cat scythe, and the origins of pumpkin carvings, turnip carvings, and more on YouTube. It's called the lore and myths of Samhain. Let's see. So, diving into some of the other things, the zodiac association is Scorpio. Some symbols are the bonfire, jack-o'-lantern, originally turnip, like I said, skulls, mirrors, ancestor photos, and candles. So I got a mirror going, and we have our candles. Boom. Spell work, some different types that are common during this time would be divination, anything ancestor related, protection, cleansing, banishing, cord cutting, releasing the past, bindings, and sex magic. Some different colors associated around this time would be black, representing the death of summer and the end of the growing season, also death in its literal sense, the underworld, the mysteries of the afterlife, and the spirits crossing over, the thinning of the veil. Orange, which is representing the warmth of the sun, the fires that are being lit during this time, and the autumn harvest leaves, because the leaves are changing during the fall. Deep purples representing wisdom, insight, and spiritual connections. Browns and golds symbolizing the earth's final bounties, or harvest before the winter sets in, and gold is for the wealth of that last harvest because it has to last you through the winter. Some different deities would be Cernunnos, the Morgan, Brigid, Lao, Hecate, Persephone, and others. Some herbs and flowers would be marigolds, rosemary, sage, thistle, mugwort, cinnamon, clove, star anise, bay leaves, peppermint. Some different woods would be birch, oak, and rowan trees. In Celtic traditions, wood types known as the 9 sacred woods are used, including elder, ash, hawthorn, holly, hazel, and willow. Some crystals and stones are amethyst, smoky quartz, and black obsidian, labradorite, carnelian, bloodstone, moonstone, citrine, black tourmaline, lapis lazuli, and clear quartz. Some foods, but definitely not limited to, lots of foods. Apples, gourds, pumpkins, squash, not tomatoes, I meant to say turnips, sorry. I don't know why I said tomato. Potatoes, fruit loaf, nuts, stews and soups are big ones. Pies, soul cakes, carrots, and cider. Some animals would be the black cat, the raven, the crow. We got bats. There we go. I was trying to dress for the occasion. Wolf, owl, stag, rats, toads, and hounds. And some incense and oils could be frankincense, myrrh, patchouli, sage, rosemary, cinnamon, and clove. What are some different ways that you could celebrate? You could set up an altar. You could go dress up, disguising yourself from the harmful spirits and tricksters. You go trick-or-treating. You could light a bonfire to purify land, to ward off evil spirits, maybe to guide the spirits of an ancestor. You could leave offerings for deceased relatives, ancestors, or for fairy folk. You could do divination, such as tarot, Ouija board, mirror scrying, bone readings, any type of divination. And that is definitely not an all-encompassing list of things that you could do, but those are some ideas. I did make a tarot spread for Samhain for you guys also. It is a 4-card tarot spread. And card number 1 is there a spirit local to your area / property reaching out to you? I'm going to read that again. Is there a spirit local to your area / property reaching out to you? Card number 2, is there a specific message this spirit is wanting to share? Card number 3, what are things you can do to be closer to your land / property? Card number 4, should you do anything on Halloween or Samhain specifically to connect you to this spirit? Thank y'all on the compliments on the bats. And then I'm also going to give you guys a Sabbat challenge, which is to leave an offering for a spirit on your property or for a spirit that's like local to your land, like a small little offering. It doesn't have to be food, but that is my little Sabbat challenge. And the next Sabbat live, which will also be the last Sabbat live of this series, will be on December 21st for Yule. And then that will be all of the Sabbats done throughout 2025 and the end of this Wheel of the Year series. I know this one was a short one, but I've really gotten the hang of the Sabbat lives. And so I kind of just like to knock them out real quick for you, so that way you guys can get all the information you would need for the Sabbat without having to listen to a really long live. But I do know I go through the notes kind of quickly, but I kind of do that so that way you can watch back and take notes throughout it. I just kind of just like boom, 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 get it out there. But I hope everybody has a really great and safe Samhain. I hope that you can find some way to celebrate and incorporate your craft if that's what you do. And if you have any cool pictures or any cool things that you do Samhain related, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Everybody else would love to see. If you watched through with me today, thank you so much. And if you watched through on the replay, thank you so much. And I will be glad to catch you in the next live. Bye.